Hmm. Let's see. I think it's around midnight, and I'm going to attempt to go to sleep. For the last 2 nights I haven't slept. It's difficult to sleep through some of the symptoms. So this is my nighttime routine. I don't really have any sleep hygiene now because the symptoms are too uncomfortable to sleep through. So I try and keep a routine. Because it's important for my hormones to respond and help me fight back. Okay, there's something there. I don't know if I can actually see it on the camera, but there's actually something there. And it goes from here down to there. So yeah, I can feel something in there. Don't know if I can see it, but I'll look at the video later and see. So I'm gonna put more lotion there and just see if I can get some massage there. Might help. So this has been going on for 3 months now. I think there's a sort of lesion there, and there's another one down there. There's 2 lesions. And the skin lesions look like nothing, but underneath there is something uncomfortable under there. And I'm hoping to get it biopsied soon. And that may be the final ticket to labeling the subtype of cancer. Oh gosh. Snapshot sniper, hi little boy. Hi. Joe Mama, what are you doing? Skull. So I'm doing my nighttime routine, which I'm keeping even when I can't sleep, because I'm stimulating hormones when I give myself self-massage, and it's important to keep the circadian rhythm going even if I can't sleep. It's about midnight here now, I guess. So, and I'm just, while I'm lying here, like babbling away to myself, because I look at the footage afterwards in case I want to edit something into what I'm hoping to do is like a summary video, maybe once a month, about the progress of this cancer. Hello, Beano. Oh, it wants me to go that way. There we go. I can see him now. So yeah, I'm just trying to keep up my night routine, and it's funny because this tumor, I'm gonna call it a tumor. I don't know what it is, but it's big and it shouldn't be there. This started growing about 3 months ago, and when it started growing, I thought it was just a bump in my gum. Elsie, if you have lesions to be biopsied, maybe you should not be massaging your face that spot so much. No, it's okay. I mean, it's spreading. Doesn't matter what I do, it's spreading. But this actually relieves some of the symptoms. And I'm doing the whole of my face, but I'm also checking areas while I'm going. So I don't have any anxiety about this cancer. None at all. It's just a game of chess. And it makes these moves. Sometimes I'm not expecting them. But, you know, I kind of know how to make my hormones work for me. So, yes, Bino, you're gonna come here. You're gonna come this side. You're gonna come this side. You want me to move this out of the way? I'll move it out of the way for you, okay? What? There you go. Do you want to come in there? Huh? Hello, baby. That's better. Oh, I have an oncologist, and that's... Elsie says, how do you know it's cancer? No, I have an oncologist. It's what we're looking for. We just need to subtype it. Is that a freaking spider? Not anymore. I don't know where that came from. Yeah, it's been wild. I'm in the diagnosis process at the moment, and the diagnosis process in America is something that it doesn't need to be this bad. You know, the diagnosis process in England is if they suspect there's cancer, they scan you. If they see it, they biopsy it. Over here, it's the other way around. They poke and prick and take your blood, and they put you through all this stuff because they won't do the scan until they've got like an actual biopsy or something that says evidence that there is cancer. And in a healthy person, the cancer is able to disguise itself, so all the tests come back normal, even though you have symptoms and palpable masses and things that are like, okay, so you need a colposcopy because we found abnormal cells leaking out of your uterus, so it's bad, but we don't know where it's coming from. So they gave me a colposcopy, which is when they take a tissue sample and there was nothing in the tissue sample. So it's not coming from my uterus. So it's outside of my uterus. So they're like, you need a GI, endoscopy, colonoscopy, and we'll find it. And my oncologist said to me, it's extrinsic to the bowel, so they probably won't find it. And sure enough, I've yet to hear the biopsy results for that, but my oncologist is pretty convinced that it's a cancer that's extrinsic to the bowel. So they have actually ruled out colorectal cancer. They've ruled that out, and they've ruled out uterine cancer. So there's something there. It's growing. It's the size of a grapefruit, but it's also spread throughout my body. And they don't have a name for it. They don't know which type it is, and until they know which type it is and they do the genetic analysis of the actual cancer cells, they won't know what therapy to suggest, which chemo, because there's loads of different types of chemo for different types of cancer. There's another freaking spider. What the hell? Not anymore. It's dangling off the phone. Turgid banana. That accent comes and goes. I don't hear my own accent, so okay. But I'm actually British. I'm not a citizen of the US. I applied some time ago, but they're so backlogged. They won't get to my application for at least another 2 years. Oscar Ramirez, can you say strawberry, please? Can you say strawberry, please? Yeah, okay. Strawberry. Why? Oh, this feels good. So when I do my nighttime routine, I do what's called gua sha to circulate the lymph and stimulate the meridians. And this triggers hormone release in line with the circadian cycle, so that my organs have an anchor point of when to ramp up their activity. Each organ has a different time of day in the circadian cycle where it's at its strongest. And you have to keep that rhythm if you want to maintain all the health of your organs working together. Right now, I'm focused on my kidneys need a lot of help. Unfortunately, they have been trying to chelate a bunch of oxalates out of my body from the calcium that's dumping into my body as a result of the acidosis state that the cancer produces in the body. So cancer metabolizes glucose and glutamine in a fermentation process, and the waste product of that cancer fermentation process is succinic acid and lactic acid, and this builds up in the body. So you have this pooling of acidity in the trunk of the body, and this causes calcium to pull out of the bone to neutralize the acid. And what that calcium does in metastatic cancer, so cancer of a certain ratio in the body, what that calcium does is it grows these little needles which shred the nerve sheaths and can interrupt your motor function, so it can disable you temporarily. It can also cause a huge amount of pain because obviously it's doing damage to the nerves. And in the mornings you can't walk because those crystals stick in your joint surfaces, and then they inflame your joint surfaces when you move because you're grinding your joint surfaces with gravel, calcium needles. So yeah, wow, I didn't realize how sick I was. And all these the constellation of symptoms. There is so many symptoms. My oncologist is looking at me like, this is no longer mast cell. This is mutated now. Because I was diagnosed with MCAS, and it was like permanently degranulating. I was reacting, and my reactions were getting stronger and stronger. The EpiPen wasn't working effectively. And now I'm just, when it mutates into a form of cancer. Because the mast cell controls the immune system, and when it's unable to do its job and it's unable to command the immune system, cancer can grow. So before it turned into cancer, it was kind of on the cards. It was like, it'll be the countdown from this permanent degranulation of mast cell until cancer could be 6 months, or it could be 3.5 years. I think it was already cancer back then, come to think of it. Yeah, it had to be. Cancer didn't just appear now. So that was back in January the 3rd this year is actually when I went on medical leave, because I couldn't sustain work anymore. I was too chronically fatigued, and I was limping all over the place, and it was getting pretty painful with intermittent, limping and stuff. So I was like, I have to get to the bottom of this. I feel like I remember feeling. So I was rapidly declining in a period of December. I started losing weight in December, so I went from 147 pounds in December to, and 6 weeks later, I was 127 pounds. No, I was, 127 pounds. So I lost 20 pounds in December, and then I lost another 10 pounds in January, and I managed to slow it down in February. So I'm now down to 114 pounds so I've just calculated, okay, I lost 33 pounds in 3 months. I lost 11 pounds a month in 3 months. So yeah, the oncologist was like, this is no longer mast cell, which means that it had mutated into a form of cancer. But because there are now signs, like in more than one place of my body, we know that it's stage 4. We just don't know what type it is. He has a hunch that it's sarcoma, because we've ruled out a bunch of other things. And it does seem to behave according to my sinews, my soft tissues. What? I'm sorry, Bino. Didn't mean to kick you. Oops. I'll just show you. That's really sweet. I love you, Bino. So, he's just gonna stay there tonight. Sometimes he lies next to me here. I'll be interested to see if I go to sleep tonight, because so far I've had 2 dreadful nights where there was no way I was going to go to sleep because the symptoms were too difficult to manage. I'm at a symptom management stage now where my whole day is focused around managing my symptoms. And it's really difficult. So it's on a cycle where the symptoms are at their worst, building up over a period of 3 days, and then they ebb away. And while they're ebbing away, I get a choice of when to start the next immune wave fight back. So the immune system has a cycle. It's around 3 to 5 days. It varies depending on how much you've nourished it. I try to keep the cycle around every 3 days, but this was a really bad cycle. Actually, the last one was really bad. They're getting really bad. How can I explain it? So, say I'm having a good day and my symptoms are kind of moderate and bearable. So that means I've got more room in me to fight back more. So I'm like, okay, so my symptoms are moderate, so I'm able to get up in the morning. I'm able to get up it's getting later these days. I'm able to get up at, say, 11 a.m. That's a really good time. These days, like as an example today, I could not wake up until 11 a.m. because I didn't sleep all night, and I actually finally fell asleep around 5 a.m. and slept through till 11. So I don't know, that's 6 hours sleep, which is not too bad, but the previous night was 4 hours sleep. So I'm getting a bit more in terms of a couple hours per night gain. And I really, if my immune system is recharging, and it's doing well, I get 8 to 10 hours sleep. If my immune system is working hard, it's like overworked, say, then I only get 4 hours sleep. So I sort of like work into the pattern. Okay, when my immune system is fully recharged, I'll get 8 hours sleep. So I wait until I get 8 hours sleep to start the next cycle. And to start the cycle, I stick to my daily routine, which is moving the lymph around the body. But then I do 2 things. So the first thing is to clean the crystals that build up in the joints in the overnight acidosis process. So I baffle those out of the joints using the jacuzzi, and then I work on the lymph transportation around the body to prevent, first of all, to take that calcium deposits that's been dumped in the bloodstream out of the body as quickly as possible. And I want it to sort of be processed by the liver rather than be dumped into the kidneys, because that becomes really painful. So I do a lot of massage to help my liver straight after I've cleaned the crystals out of my joints in the jacuzzi. So I do a lot of liver work, like massage and jacuzzi baffling on the tendons, because that helps to dredge the liver as well. So the goal is, when I'm doing this type of baffle work, I'm supporting my liver, so I am speeding up its metabolics. Hey, Daniel. Um, what was I saying? You cracked me up. You put so many comments on my videos, and I realized what you were saying, but I didn't know what you meant at first because I was like, "Are you calling me a worrier? A worrier?" Like, am I suffering with anxiety? Like, do I look it? And then I realized you meant warrior. I was like, oh, okay. Hi, Melvin. So, Melvin, he lives quite nearby, actually, in terms of Greater Los Angeles area. Um, so, I live in Garden Grove, and Melvin is, you know, reasonable distance, about 20 miles, something like that. And this is the first time you've been on a live stream, Melvin. I put up on the title, Ask Me Anything, because, you know, I'm just doing my nighttime routine and I'm not expecting to fall asleep. Sometimes I fall asleep like 5 in the morning. Mm. So I just lie here and I do my face massage, my gua sha, until I fall asleep. That's what I normally do. Or sometimes I'm doing it and I'm watching a. Yay, Melvin, yeah, my bunny mummy. I'm a bunny mummy. I'll just show you him right now. My big bunny is nestled against my feet. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, big yawn. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to disturb you. Why don't you come up here? Why don't you come up here? Hmm? Ah, well. Um, Melvin, yeah, you said you never known about this. So I've recently been doing live streams to document a real bunny slipper. I've been recently doing these live streams to document my cancer journey because I have energy these days and it takes me too much time and effort to write. And my goal is the way I'm approaching this fight is it's oh my god. I'm not scared at all. And I don't want people to misunderstand that because I feel my body very much, very well. I know where the cancer is. And I'm like, I'm willing to bet if the doctor finally says, okay, we can order the PET scan, I'll be like, here's a body map. It's here, 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 here. I will be able to put an X on the dot where all the tumors are. And they'll be like, well, we need to know where the cancer is. And I'll be like, I'm telling you where it is. So I'm treating this as a special skill that I have to educate people about the disease process because I love to study disease processes, which is why the cancer doesn't scare me. It's just a game of chess. I know potentially where it could next go or how it can metabolize. That I know its disease mechanism, I know what that feels like, and I know how to fight it. I know how to use my immune system to fight it. And that will also be interesting to see because once they order the PET scan, these tumors, they've mostly broken up already. It's spread, it's still trying to spread, but I've broken down some of the tumors. And they'll be able to compare that to an original MRI back in December where the main tumor is the size of a grapefruit. So I know my oncologist is going to look at me like, okay, so we're trying to figure out what chemo you need. And the tumor, even though it's spread everywhere, the main tumor's not the size we thought it would be, because they have an MRI comparison, which it's huge. I mean, it mummifies so many organs. And I've been working really hard on breaking this tumor down, and it's made me very, very, I'm not sick. I'm really battling through it. It's hard to manage all the symptoms because every organ is struggling, and I'm supporting each organ, and I am applying pressure at key times of the day so that each organ can work to its full potential in the system. And I'm doing this using a method of my own guidance and knowing about my body intuitively, but also from a background of having studied some level of medicine. So I've done anthropology, anatomy, osteology, paleopathology. I've done a lot of like medical studies, and I do medical art. It's all up on the walls around me. I study disease mechanisms just as a weird hobby. And I'm fighting this, but it's hard work. And I want to share that with people, what that is, what I'm actually doing, how I am surfing the wave of energy that triggers each organ in turn to do their dredging work or fermenting work or whatever. Because I'm surfing it. There's the circadian cycle, and then there's the immune system mesocycle, which isn't really written anywhere. But when you learn about your body and you learn that it's working based on a hormone drift, and that hormone drift doesn't just hey baby, hey, are you gonna sit there now? Oh, that's my tea. Okay, let me move this over for you. There you go. Yeah, that was a great distraction. Melvin Lee says, "You look so amazing at the pool." Thank you. I can't. You'll actually see on the live streams what I look like now, and you'll see the if I do a live stream by the pool, if I do a live stream by the pool, I struggle to walk now. My walking is intermittent. I have a loss of balance. I have muscle weakness. I'm just fighting a lot. It's intermittent because I have to fight for my nerves to come back. I have to work on my meridians to keep them healthy, because this disease is constantly eroding at it with these needles of calcium that are shredding the nerve sheaths. So there's a lot of pain, and for me, the level of pain I'm in is low. It's like a level 4, but it's all over my body. It's in different joints. It's in certain organs, which really is disconcerting, because when you have an organ injury, what do you do about that? You know, and some organs can't recover so well, like your kidneys. So I work a lot to maintain the battlefront of this disease. And by the time I'm diagnosed, the diagnosis process can be 6 months, because they have to find the cancer. They have to find the subtype of cancer, whether it's adenoma, endocrine cancer, or melanoma, or sarcoma. So they're leaning in the direction of sarcoma for me now. And then they have to do molecular testing on it to determine which type of chemo is going to work on it. So that process takes 6 months, and I am in month 3. So the fight is on for me to get diagnosed so that they can start therapies, because at the moment during this diagnosis process I'm in decline, and that decline feels like it's really sudden. The onset is sudden, but it's intermittent, so there are times of day when I'm just really bad, and sometimes of day I'm powering through it, and I use my energy levels wisely because I have to maintain the battlefront in many areas. Yeah, it's hard work. And that's what medical leave is for. I'm 24/7 fighting for my body. So when I go to the pool, you'll see me crawl and limp. And then I kick up into a handstand and jump in the pool. But my swimsuits are getting a bit loose. They're brand new, and they're starting to just like, I don't know, I'm just losing so much weight. So the landlady says to me today, "It's cold outside, it's cold, you can't go out." And I'm like, I need the hormone rush. I need the hormone rush. I don't care that it's cold. I need the hormone rush because it really helps. The cold plunges. It doesn't matter that there's no ice in the water. It's the difference in temperature, the delta T, that really works, because it shocks the system. It releases a ton of adrenaline, and you need that to fight. Hey Daniel, about how many days each week do you make it to the pool in an average? I try to go every day. When I'm having a bad cycle, I miss the pool, the jacuzzi for a couple of days, 1 or 2 days if I'm having a bad cycle. My personal battle that I fight is based in mesocycles, what I call immune cycles, which last 3 to 5 days, depending how hard I trigger. And this is a bad cycle because, once again, I did too much work. And so my organs are overloaded and they're giving me hell, which is why I can't sleep. If I overdo the battle, if I overdo the work, I dump too much cancer debris into my bloodstream, and my liver can't metabolize it, can't transform it fast enough, and the overload gets bottlenecked at my kidneys, which are not supposed to be disposing of this stuff, so they get injured. And then the bottleneck, because my organs can't process it quickly enough, the cancer debris that I've just broken down too much of ends up sticking in my skin. So my body is trying to chelate these oxalates out of my body, and they have nowhere to go because they're bottlenecked. The organs can't process it fast enough. I've done too much work. I've worked too hard on the cancer. And they literally try to spindle their way out of my skin, and I feel like a human cactus. It burns, it itches, and I can't sleep through that. And anything that touches my skin that's not silky feels like it's tearing my skin. And it's like fire. It's like I had to get into a bathtub at 4 a.m. in the morning, full of Epsom salts, magnesium, because, oh. So, yeah, I've had 2 bad nights, and I'm hoping this isn't going to be a third bad night, because if it is, this is now a 5-day immune cycle. I've pushed it too hard. So I've learned my limits. Don't do 6 hours of baffling, because your organs can't take it. They can't process it, and I end up suffering for that. But I was just aggressive because what happened was the cancer felt aggressive last week. My immune system got disabled for 3 days in a row. I was having some domestic stress. And when I realized my immune system was disabled for 3 days, I got really angry because I felt the progression really fast. I know where it's progressed now. I feel it touching the peritoneum. It's touching my lung. I'm not sure if it's in my lung or if it's just touching it on the outside, but it makes me cough because it's kind of tickly. It's just a tickly sensation. I also feel it in my jaw here, but it tickled and went into this bony bit underneath the ear. That's really disconcerting because I'm like, dude, that's a little bit too close to my brain for comfort. So, and then it switched off my right leg for the first time. So I knew there was a new tumor formation somewhere that had dripped out of my pelvis. And I was searching for it the other day, and I was like, where the hell did it go? And then I found it, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to beat you up. Because I don't want to lose my right leg now. I'm going to beat you up. But, so because my immune system was disabled for a few days due to stress, I got a real kick back from the cancer, just suddenly going, oh, la-di-da, let's go and mummify your stomach again. Let's re-mummify your stomach. And so my permanent nausea came back, and I had gotten rid of it for 3 weeks. I was mostly nausea-free for 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden the cancer re-mummified my upper intestine to my stomach, and the nausea feeling was back. Permanent. That's what it's been ever since. Now, I can cope with pain, but nausea makes it really difficult to do anything. I mean, you move, you feel sick. You want to do something, you feel sick. And I've just been on my knees. I'm just like, God damn it, I need to get to the jacuzzi and I can't because I feel too sick. What if I pass out in the pool or something? You know, I just couldn't do it. So for 2 days I didn't do it. And it wasn't that I was suffering anxiety, but if I don't do the pool, I'm not triggering my immune system. I'm not milking the hormone system to fight the cancer back when it's at its weakest. So I'm not maximizing my fight if I don't do the pool. And that really bothers me. So I got in the pool, and I decided to just go at it for 6 hours. I normally do 2 hours a day. I did 6 hours. I did this to myself. I was like, "Rrr, the cancer gained an advantage on me. It progressed, and like the battlefronts are now more of them, and I'm pissed. How dare it?" So I decided that because it expanded the battlefronts, I was gonna fight for it all back. But so instead of 2 hours in the pool, I did 3 sessions of 2 hours, and I do the jacuzzi and I baffle out my joints, and that takes me 1 hour, and then I spend the next hour baffling a specific tumor. But I decided, nah, I'm gonna take it all back, and I spent 1 hour baffling the joints and 5 hours, 5 hours baffling the tumors. So, what happens? You spend 5 hours breaking down tumors? That's a stomach load of food. That is a stomach load of food now dumped into my bloodstream over the course of 5 hours, and my organs have to digest a whole meal without an intestine. That's supposed to be enough for you to poop out. Think about the volume of that. 5 hours of baffling tumors is going to dump a stomach load, a meal, but there's nowhere to poop it out, so it's gonna clog up my organs, and it's gonna mess up my kidneys, and it's gonna just destroy my skin, and my organs are not very efficient, and that means that my sleeping is impaired, because it's so uncomfortable, blah blah blah. So I did this to myself. I overdid it, but oops. Okay, don't do 6 hours of chewing up cancer. Just 1 hour a day is fine. Idiot. Juliana, you idiot. Well, you know what? It was a good day. I had a really good day, but I did feel pretty nauseous because I knew I dumped a lot in my bloodstream. Um, I'm glad I did it. I definitely took back the battlefronts, but unfortunately, I just hope I haven't injured my kidneys. So I'm gonna do the Chinese food therapy to nourish my kidneys because they need a lot of help. And I got this book on how to nourish your kidneys. Melvin Lee says shocking the nerves. Yeah. When you shock the nerves, whether you do it through tapping or massage or vibration or temperature change, that strengthens the nerves because you overload the nerves by shocking them. That's what pins and needles is. And then they have to strengthen. So it's good. Melvin Lee says, can you sleep? No, I can't sleep through this disaster right now, no, because my organs are just messing me around too much. But actually, I'm just going to climb up a second and fetch something and show you. It burns when I move. It burns when I move. It burns. Because my clothes, this is fluffy. I should have worn silky. And the fluffy is enough to set off the burning. I can't wear natural fibers when my skin is so messed up. all these oxalates have got to come out. But I made a mistake last night. I decided to try and massage it out, and once you start, you can't stop because it just burns and burns and burns until the oxalates come out of the skin. So I was just like, so it was like the burning just got worse, you know, but the oxalates were slowly starting to come out the skin. They come out like little tiny needles. Anyway, this book I wanted to show you. This is a book on how to nourish your kidneys. And I just got it today, and I'm so proud because a lot of the stuff in here I know already. Let me just flip the book over so you can see how it talks about nourishing the kidneys. A second. So, it's in Chinese, yeah, but let me just see if I can do it this way. So, it talks about the circadian cycle. That's the circadian cycle. Not the circadian cycle, sorry. That's the organ dependency. So every organ supports another organ in this star configuration. And then it talks about recipes, actual recipes for, acupoints for the kidneys, to strengthen the kidneys. So to strengthen the kidneys, you need to trigger a hormone release to stimulate the kidneys. And you can do that in two ways. You can do that by shocking certain nerves, or stimulating certain nerves, because they are received in a certain area of the brain that corresponds to a similar area which is in control of sending hormone signal down to that organ, or so where was I? So acupoints, and this is just about how to look after your kidneys, how to massage the body on your own, how to look after it on your own. Massage points, acupressure points that you can do for yourself. How to look after your kidneys. Certain foods and recipes that help your kidneys. People are under the impression that acupressure points, the meridians that run and share lines with the kidneys, lymph drainage on the face. This book, I mean, a lot of this stuff I knew already because it's kind of common knowledge with the Chinese. This is common knowledge with Chinese, and I've got it all condensed in a medical book with explanation. Yes, I was talking about the Chinese diet. So there are some recipes in there that I am so looking forward to trying to help support my destroyed kidneys at the moment, because I am so suffering. It's so painful. It's like mind over matter to ignore the burn. And Melvin Lee says, I wish I could translate that for you. If you ever come to visit, Melvin, you are welcome. But I'm good. I know how to, I mean, I can't read it, but I get the gist of it, and I'm studying the Chinese characters. I'm learning to read. So mostly I use the translation apps, but the translation apps is just good practice for me to see the real stuff. I'm so proud of my Chinese heritage. I am so proud, because I don't know how I knew that without reading it, but that that was either innate sensing of the body, and this, when you can sense it, you know it. And it's so weird. I just decided that there is a sixth sense, and the sixth sense is something that all women have and don't yet know, or maybe they do know but they don't say anything. So the reason why I say this, and I'm not being sexist, this is an experience that I've realized through having cancer. Every woman knows what it's like to feel menstruation, right? That's a sensation that men won't understand. Now, our experience of the menstruation isn't just bleeding. There's a sense 3 days before of a hormonal rise, like a drift in sensations. And I'm going to describe it as a drift, actually, because you know, oh, that's a hormone drift. And you know that on the third day, you're going to be at your worst. You're going to feel at your worst. But then the release valve happens, which is the uterus going, bleh. And you're like, oh God, that's so good. That's such a relief. You know, your whole body is like, I can sleep. And, you know, yeah, the pains kick in. But for me, I used to find the first 3 days before the menstruation, I was like, oh God, it's coming. I'm just like, you know, all of a sudden, you lose your filters, right? And the shit that you tolerate before, the shit that you put up with, and you stoically say nothing, and you just, okay, there's my poo face. Trying to look elegant in the face of shit, right? You lose that filter, so you lose your shit, and it's not because you're sensitive, it's because you're putting up with that much shit over the month, and all of a sudden these 3 days kick in before the menstruation, and that's PMT. That is, people recognize it as PMT, but that is the ability to sense a hormone drift. And if you know what that drift feels like, you also know when a woman breastfeeds what the oxytocin drift feels like. And you know what that feels like in the breasts. And if someone was to direct you and tell you, do you know what your kidneys feel like when you set them off? Do you know what your liver feels like when you switch metabolism? Those are hormonal drifts. And a man and woman may not be aware of what that feels like, but if a woman can relate that the 3-day hormone drift is something that relates to different organs as well, depending on the mesocycle of your immune system, then you can easily teach a woman because she'll have that sense in her body of what a hormone drift feels like. And men, not so much. I wouldn't even know where to begin with teaching a man what that hormone drift feels like, because they don't have a uterus. So it's like, you know what that feeling's like. A woman cycles every month with a series of hormone drifts. They don't last a whole month. They last 3 days at a time. They're punchlines. There's a punchline hormone drift when you ovulate, but that one, you feel it for 6 hours. It's a 6-hour drift. You try and explain that to a guy, I'm sorry, how can they imagine what that feels like? But now if you translate and you say, well, you know that sensation of the egg popping part of the cycle? Oh, yeah, it's horrible. It's like a boil that's just about to go pop. You know when you want to like squeeze it and you want to poke it early? Well, it's at that day when it's going to pop, right? Think about it. Follicular stimulating hormone. Follicular stimulating hormone also triggers the massive acne. And funnily enough, my egg pop felt the same as the acne cycle, the inflammatory cycle of an acne popping up in 6 hours, as the big ones do, right? They get really inflammatory. That inflammatory reaction is a hormone drift. So I suppose I could teach a man, yeah, you know when you get that really nasty acne when you're like, I don't know, 16, and it was just really nasty. Some men had it really bad. Some boys had it really bad, and their acne would be like beyond cystic. It would be like, you just feel sorry for them because that is just inhuman, right? It looks like a disease. And so those men, the ones that suffered the severe acne, you could teach them what hormone drift feels like. So there, I'm not trying to be sexist, but I think I could explain that sensation and translate it to different parts of the body, what you're supposed to be feeling, and that's what you think about. And if you kind of meditate through it and you feel that part of the body during the circadian cycle, you will learn how to tap into that hormone drift when you need it. And if you can do that, then you can work with your circadian rhythm to make sure that every organ works at its strongest point of the day. That means your body is in maximum efficiency, maximum speed. And as fast as the cancer has gained on me, if my immune system is working at full efficiency, so the highest pack of punch at the right time of day in the right sequence, then every organ supports each organ and I get the biggest immune fight back. Otherwise, your immune system's just kind of just chugging along, doing the same thing all the time because it's not being commanded, and it needs a hormone drift to command it into action. And that drift takes 3 days to reach its full potential. So, where am I in my cycle? I am on day 3 because I did the overwork on the cancer 2 days ago. Was it 2 days ago? This is going to be my 3rd night. The first night was just terrible. Like, duh, why did I do that? I totally overworked it. But I was like, okay, this is the worst it's gonna be, right? This is gonna be the worst. So everything thereafter. What? Beano. Oh, Beano. Hey, sweetie bunny. Ha. All right, baby. So, I'm feeling pretty good actually. I think I've got through the worst of the burn. I don't think it's going to get worse. I think I'll be able to fall asleep tonight. Yes. Okay. It's a 3-day cycle. But because I really messed up, I'm going to give my body 2 days off. When I say give it my body 2 days off, what I really mean is I'm not going to baffle the tumors for 2 days. My immune system needs a break, so I'm not going to dump any cancer debris in my body for 2 days. So tomorrow and the day after, I will only baffle my meridians. I will only baffle my joints. I will not baffle the tumors. So, and the reason is because if I baffle the joints, I protect my immune system by not inflaming it. The calcium crystals that build up, they have to be pushed out daily, because if I let them build up, oh God, I'm just disabled. So you have to baffle the calcium needles out of the joint before they start tearing into the nerve sheaths. Because it takes 2 days of calcium growth before those needles start to tear the nerve sheaths. On the first day, it's just joint pain. On the second day, there's actual muscle disconnection, and it's intermittent because your body fights to resheath those nerves. So the needles, they scratch a nerve sheath, myelin sheath, and just break it. And when your body is most inflamed, like 10 p.m. onwards is when you start building up the inflammation, it starts pooling. So usually around 10 p.m. is when your muscles start to switch off and you can't walk. And then you go to sleep, but you wake up and it comes back, but it's painful because everything's being scraped by those crystals again. Whatever you grew overnight, they grow very fast. So, but they're very brittle, they're very fragile, they're very thin, so it doesn't take much to break them up. Just walking and moving around can break them up, but unfortunately, if you have let them grow because you've been sedentary for too long, so if it's more than just a night, you've been laying down for some time, those crystals grow. Just by moving around, they break up, but they do some damage, and your body has to recover from that. So the best way to deal with it is to baffle those joints every day, because you're breaking them up without movement. So those articulating surfaces, the joint surfaces, are free to move because there's the crystals that are grown in, they get shattered, and the joint space isn't tearing itself because it's staying still. You know, you don't. That's why I like the jacuzzi, and it should be the first thing I do in the morning is to baffle my joints, for two things: to destroy the crystals and protect those joint surfaces, and protect the nerve sheaths that are running near those joint spaces. And the next thing I do in the jacuzzi is baffle my meridians. So I tend to stimulate certain nerve points that I know are plaqued up with calcium. As the nerve points get plaqued up with calcium, they start to diminish through stenosis. Like they are constricted, so they can't grow, right? So no matter how hard you train that extremity, you're not going to get stronger, and you're not going to stretch more because it's plaqued up, and the nerve is being stenosed by its own plaque on the sheath. So if you deplaque those meridians by using baffling in the jacuzzi, or percussion, it can any percussive kind of massage, like, you know, that will help to deplaque the meridians. So just see. Are you drinking green tea? I'm drinking pu'er, which is like a fermented Chinese tea, which is actually, like kung fu tea, but it's specifically because it helps my qi. Well, for the Chinese will say it helps their qi, right? Increase their energy levels, but tea contains L-theanine, and when that is combined with, is it glutamine? Oh, I can't remember. When it's combined with one other from dairy, cheese, eggs, meat, it produces the foundation for the production of dopamine. And you need dopamine to heal. It's the hormone to drive healing. Dopamine and estrogen. Those are the two hormones you need to heal. Yes, Melvin Lee, you got it. You're still there. Damn it. What time is it? I don't know what time it is. It must be about... Is it 11 yet? Is it 12 yet? Is it 1 yet? 1:36. Thank you, Daniel. Yeah, you know what? I think tonight is going to be a good night. I'm actually going to go sleep. I just thought of something. My belly's full of acid right now. The cancer's metabolizing. It's so horrible. It's like battery acid in my belly. But based on the ebb, the waxing ebb of the battery acid pooling, I know how big the cancer is, right? I know how big my main tumor is because I know from the battery acid sensation and where it's pooling what it's touching. And women know this when they are the day before the period, you have a similar sensation. And yeah, it's like battery acid pooling around your uterus, right? It's extremely similar to that, which is another reason why I say to women specifically, when a woman knows she has cancer, it's the equivalent of a woman knowing when she's pregnant. Some women know when they're pregnant because their body has these drifts and there are sensations. And if you've never been a mother before, you'll be like, wow, that's new. Oh, could it be? Wow. Oh, it must be. That's what it is. And it's like I remember so many of these sensations when I was first pregnant. And then the second time I was pregnant, I was like, oh, that's familiar. Oh, I recognize that. Oh, and this is from the moment of conception. You know, some women are that sensitive. I knew when I was conceiving because I could feel the egg bedding in. There was a drift with that, a sign with that. And on 2 weeks after, my period was late by 2 weeks. I was like, oh. I thought back to all the sensations. I thought, what was that? What was that? That was weird. Oh, that was kind of a burning, flooding sensation. Well, those sensations, when you look back and you go, oh, that's what I was feeling. And you're pregnant, but maybe it didn't happen. Maybe the penny didn't drop until week 6. That's 2 weeks after your period was due, right? And maybe you just sort of, you never thought about it, but all of a sudden you're thinking about it and you go, oh, I'm late for a reason. And I didn't think about it before because there was no reason to think about, but yeah, I know. You know, you just know if you are that sensitive. And when I say sensitive, I don't mean like juju emotions. I'm talking about sensations. So if you are that sensitive to these sensations, that is what men would call women's intuition. And men would be inclined to hate women's intuition because they don't understand it. But that's where I think it comes from. Women's intuition is actually an interpretation of sensations that men will never feel. And we've learned to translate those drifts, those sensations, where it happens in different parts of our body, and we go, oh, why is my right breast doing that? Why is it just my right breast? What the hell? And then you realize, oh, do you know what? My right arm has its own lymphatic system separate from the rest of the body. It's like, oh, that's why my tit was doing that. Wait, why was it just the right hand side of my body? What's going on with the left? Hmm? And now you know why your right and left are different. And you're like, okay, so my right tit is the smaller one. My left tit is the nicer one because it feels more shapely, but the smaller one isn't shapely. It's just kind of like a saggy dumpling. And so it's, like a little pot sticker. So my right one is kind of a weird shape and it hangs a bit. And my left one is just like, I've got pecs. It's just, I mean, they're small anyway, but they're different. And then I'd be like, this one looks weak. She looks weak, but I'm telling you, she's the strongest one out of the pair. She can squirt faster, even though she's smaller and weak ass looking. I'm like, why is that? And then I felt the drift. There's hormones that each nipple produces on its own, and although they're connected, one will follow the other one later. That's another hormone drift. So this one starts and this one follows. If this one starts and then this one follows, this one squirts way harder. And I was like, hang on a minute. Why is she so strong? And then I realized, oh, the lymphatic system on the right goes straight to the heart, completely on its own. It's separate from the rest of the body. This one, she's taking her lymph back to the heart and all the rest of the junk that comes with it from the rest of the body. Because the lymphatic drainage system is a one-way system, but it's this is the top of the spiral, you know? This is the top of the spiral, and it goes down the left leg, goes down the left arm, the left leg, the right leg. So this tit is furthest from my right leg in terms of the lymphatic system, right? My right tit only has to look after my right hand. That's why she's stronger. She's got more capacity to respond. I'm like, okay, I know I must be super in touch with my body to detect these differences. But I can't be alone. There must be other people that are that in tune with their bodies. Daniel Duran says, I read that some dogs can smell types of cancer. I'll get back to you. I just read Melvin Lee's above you. Melvin Lee says, only Chinese herbalists can understand that. Melvin! Yes, yes, yes. Yes, you are correct. But where did I get it from? No one taught me Chinese medicine. I didn't read this on the internet. This came together somehow from my intuition to be able to read my body, and somehow also with understanding the body through anatomy studies, because I love to study anatomy. But I'm like, I put this together myself, and that is some deep kind of knowledge. That is some deep ability to process multiple sets of incoming information that I can feel from everywhere in my body. I can even feel where my brain is flowing. I can feel where my brain is really active and where it's moving stuff around in ripples. And I love that. I love that feeling. But it wasn't always this way. My brain is more alive now than ever. And yet I feel like I'm supposed to be at the worst point in my life, right? In terms of health. I'm supposed to be at the worst. But I'm not. I feel like I'm the healthiest I've ever been. And I'm fighting cancer back. That's what I feel like. I feel like I'm so in control. I'm in touch with my body. I know what it all feels like, and therefore I have a sense of control. And the control comes from knowing how to move things through my body and how to work with my circadian rhythm, where each organ has a different turn in the cycle, and how to work with it and maximize the momentum of that energy. Because that energy is what I have to fight against cancer. It cannot, it's primitive. It's not smart, but it can outmaneuver me. It can move sideways. It can cheat. It's the biggest cheater in the room. It's a bully. And bullies don't play by the rules. And my immune system has to abide by the rule. My immune system has a cycle of 3 days. So it's already at a disadvantage, you know? But if I know how to move through that cycle, and I know how to support each organ, I can maximize the punch. Back to Daniel Duran. I read that some dogs can smell some types of cancer. Yeah, I can smell different types of cancer. So, let me give you an example. When I knew I was really sick and I had cancer, which was a long time ago, and again, the knowing feels like pregnancy. I was pregnant with cancer. There was a smell, and the smell didn't come out of my nose. It came out of my blood and triggered the nerves for the sense of smell in here in my face. So I was smelling it from inside my body, like as if my nose was inside out. I was smelling it on the inside out part of my nose. And Beano is, yes, Beano baby. What is it, baby? I got myself a new hand food. No, baby. I'll go back to explaining the different types of cancer that I can smell. So, the smell's coming from my inside out nose, which is somehow this okay. Somehow this chemical So anyway, when cancer moves through the body and it's doing enough damage, like is that better? Huh? Okay, is that better? Do you want me to just get rid of it? Here, I'll put it over this side. There. Okay. What are you eating now? Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, so whenever the cancer sets in, wherever it starts in an organ or in some tissue. And as it multiplies out of control, it strangulates that tissue, it mummifies it, and there is some necrosis that comes from that. Because the cells that can't survive because they have their blood supply cut off or whatever, they die. And instead of dying through apoptosis, which is being told to shut down and not leave the hotel room with ketchup over the ceiling and you know, piss on the bed sheets and stuff. But unfortunately, they weren't told to leave the room in time, and like they didn't get any notice. So instead of a normal cell death where they pack their shit up and go, they just spill their guts, and when they leave the room, there's ketchup over the walls, broken plates, you know, toupees stuck to the wall or whatever. And the immune system has to clean that up. It has to digest it. And it does so and turns these into compounds that are specific to that cell debris type, that organ debris type. So if the rot or the necrosis comes from the bowel, say, then you're gonna smell shit. It's gonna literally smell like fetid, rotten, nasty, like cesspool stuff, right? Because, I mean, it's a cesspit internally, right? So it's gonna smell just rank, rotten, you know? If it's coming from the uterus, you're gonna get a metallic taste. You're gonna taste iron. It's also gonna smell a little metallic. Yeah. So I smelled metallic. If it's in your immune system, it's going to be destroying your lymphatic system. Well, that part of the blood is sweet. If it's destroying your lymph nodes, if it's in your lymph nodes, you're going to smell something sweet and maybe a little bit sour sometimes, like pear drops. It's going to smell like pear drops. Because I can smell my own immune system, but I've never smelled it when it's rotten. So I imagine it would smell something like chemically processed fruit juice flavor or something like pear drops, you know. If it attacks your kidneys, oh, I don't know if you've ever gone to the butcher's and bought kidneys, and they're a bit old, taken out the bag, and they smell like ammonia. That just god awful bad diaper smell. And this is the smell that comes from your inside out nose. These are the chemicals that are being produced when cells die in that area through unnatural causes. So a natural cause will cause apoptosis, which is normal cell death, where this cell that's told it's going to die through whatever signal, throughout a hormone signal, and it goes, oh, okay, here you go, and it gives its guts and its organelles to the immune cell to repackage them, and that immune cell will take it away and it will go, here you go, liver, here you go, spleen, and your cells can regenerate. If instead the cell has left its guts all over the walls and there's shit and piss on the bed sheets, that rotten smell will correspond to that organ that it's in. And I received a bunch of inside out smells through different stages of this cancer. And they changed. It wasn't just one smell, it was one, then the other. So you can smell where it's most active, because where it's most active, it's suffocating cells and it's killing them without the proper hormone signal to kill them. Because the cancer's a psychopath, doesn't care about boundaries. It's just growing and growing and growing and suffocating and cutting off the blood supply to all the normal, healthy people around it, right? It's taken away their social security. So, instead of dying a good death, Martina. Oh, thank you. She says, how are you? Beautiful hair. Thank you. That's nice. I managed to wash it today. Martina, can I ask? Yes, you can ask. Ask anything. I was just blabbing away to myself. Do you have a sink or a bathtub? I have a bathtub. I am going to carry on where I left off. I was talking about the different smells of cancer and the smells I smelled from my inside out nose. So those receptors on the inside of your olfactory nerve get triggered, not just by air drawing molecules in, but the same molecules drifting through your bloodstream and then finding a way out, and they bump into the olfactory nerve receptors. So it's quite possible to smell your body from within if the smell from your uterus drifts through your bloodstream and into your nose. So those organic compounds, they start being released when the suffocated organ starts to implode. And they circulate around the body for, I would say, about 6 hours. It lasts about 6 hours, but it depends on how much of the organ is in trouble. Because the cell death is kind of intermittent. It usually happens when the cancer's most active, which is all the time you're eating for 2 hours after you eat. Every time you eat, it's most active, especially during the day. As soon as you break fast, the first thing you eat, the cancer comes active within 20 minutes. And then it builds up through the day because it doesn't slow down. And you feed it every 4 hours. You feed it maybe every 2 hours because you had a candy bar in between meals. And the candy bar just feeds it. So when it's most active, it's doing the most damage. It's multiplying very fast, and it's squeezing and squeezing some part of the organ. And I smelled the acid, and I smelled something just kind of like rotting flesh. It was kind of sweet and sickly and just gross. And then I was like, okay, well, is that my immune system? Because it was a mixture of everything. It was a mixture of, like, like gone off meat, acid. I smelled the battery acid. That was so weird. And I knew it was behind my uterus because of the smell. And then the smell changed, and I knew it had metastasized into different parts of different organs. And the latest smell I got changed quite dramatically. It smelled kind of moldy. And then I knew it was in my jawbone. And it's kind of been a mix of rotten, like mold ever since, which is the cancer entering the face. That smells like rotten, like mold. So, you know what? So I've got the pooling sensation, but I think my skin's going to be alright tonight. I think it's going to let me sleep. The other things I'm dealing with right now is the pooling, the battery acid sensation, which unfortunately is just the mass, the amount of cancer that's in me, and it metabolizes at night. It stops off 2 hours after I've finished eating. I've noticed it carries on growing and metabolizing for 2 hours after I eat. And so, I mean, it should slow down now because my immune system's going to kick in soon and start to fight it back, but I'm really tempted to have a hot chocolate just because I want to enjoy it. So I think I'm going to make this a hot chocolate. I don't know. Daniel asks, do you eliminate daily or is it pretty random? I'm guessing you're talking about poop again. Hang on. Yeah, daily, multiple times a day. It's getting a bit better. Yeah. So actually, the poop thing really fascinates me because I've learned now what it means in terms of my body, what's happening to it, and I'm very comforted every time I need to go to the bathroom now, even if it's agony, because I'm feeling as the stool is moving past the cancer how much I've broken it down and how much I've gained on the battlefront. As an example, 18 months ago, or more than that actually, it was 20 months ago, I first complained about intermittent couldn't poop to the doctor, asked, and went through this whole thing and nobody found it, and months and months and months turned into over a year, and I said to the doctor, it was intermittent before, but now I can't poop at all, and I've been waiting a year to find out what's going on, and no one knows. Meanwhile, I'm here now, and there's something really wrong, and I can feel it, I can touch it, and I mean it's really big. Like, what do I have to do? And so he ordered a colonoscopy and an MRI. Good night, Melvin. I love you too, old friend. It's just bizarre to me how you can scream the house is burning down and they look the other way. I had one doctor say to me, well, it's not going to kill you. There. I'm going to laugh my ass off if it doesn't kill me. Can you imagine that? The first time I complained about it to a doctor, and he had the choice: mental health or let's investigate the poop problem. And he went for the mental health. he went for the mental health because he assumed that this was just irritable bowel, and that's all controlled by the mind, right? That's not gonna kill me, but my mental health could. That's really funny. Um, but I can't poop. It's not gonna kill you, is it? No, it's not gonna kill you. And do you know, I was ambulatorized once for not being able to poop for 3 weeks. I learned after that how to manage it because it was the first time I was hospitalized, but I've been in situations like that before for many, many days, but 3 weeks was just the worst. Um, I had to dig it out my bum as much as I could daily, but it was as if the whole thing shut down. Yeah, the doctors don't live in the same world we live in, says Daniel, and I'm like, I don't know why I haven't met a good doctor. I don't know. Their hands are tied. It's not like it's not like they can change the system, the way in which they work, but would they get more patients if they told us the truth? Or they would lose their job. They'd lose their job. Hmm. God damn it, that's annoying. That lesion there popped up on the same day that I felt a new lesion pop up inside my neck here. In there. That's a new one. And it's trying to embed, and I think my immune system got it. I'll check it tomorrow and see if it's any better, but oh, that's good. I might do a bit of massage on that because that actually felt pretty good. This kind of hurts. I don't like that one. That's the new spot that it's moved to, and it's too close for comfort to my carotid. So I'm not happy about that because that means it could get in the brain. I mean, it's a strong artery with me. I do a lot of handstands, and so I'm pretty reflexive with that. I know the endothelial layer with this artery is pretty healthy, and the muscle around it is pretty strong. So I don't have a fear from that sense, but it's still too close to the artery for comfort because I'm like, Don't you dare start growing any calcium spindles. Don't you dare. Not there. So I'm able to feel my body everywhere. Daniel Gomez, I hope you're feeling fine. Yeah, I'm pretty chill right now. I had 2 nights in a row of utter garbage. My own fault, my own doing. I worked too hard on the cancer and I just overloaded my organs so I couldn't sleep. Daniel Gomez, are you sick? Well, I think metastatic cancer is sick. Just in case you didn't know. I have metastatic cancer, stage 4. Tumors all over my body, so... I'm just massaging this, I don't know what the muscle's called. I should know, I studied it, but I'd have to revise it all, which would be pretty fun to do. I've just got a lot on my plate. Whatever it is, I hope you'll feel better because I love your videos and I hope to see more new videos. Oh, Daniel. Well, my Patreon is back up and I would love your support there. And I would ask for people's support on Patreon with this because even if you just have the morbid curiosity of seeing if I make it to Christmas, or seeing if this will be my last summer. Okay, I'm going to bed now. I'm going to sleep.